Good evening, Shotcallers Nation. Good morning, good afternoon, whenever we're listening. I
Yeah,
want to start out the show by saying hello to Kyle. It's great to have you here tonight.
thank you. Thank you, sir. I'm
I
happy to
want
be here.
us. Thanks. Happy to have you. Let's have a moment of silence for our man Robin. We don't know where he is,
Yeah,
if he's asleep. It is
yeah.
late on a Thursday night, like normal.
Mm.
Maybe he had a long day at work,
He was
but
off today.
oh, maybe maybe he had a
Yeah,
long day, doing whatever he was doing.
yeah. Doing
Who
whatever he was
knows?
doing.
Who knows
Yeah,
what he's getting into? But hopefully he's safe, he's sound. He'll
yeah.
wake up snug in his own bed in the morning and listen to our podcast that we had to do without him. Maybe he was
Yeah,
salty about this L he caught today,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we'll get into that in just a moment.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, my name is Rich. Welcome to another episode. We are covering the primetime TNT matchups between the Philadelphia 76ers, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Los Angeles Lakers. But before we dive in to our observations and our inquisition, we do want to let you guys know that you guys can follow all our previous episodes where we cover the previous primetime matchups from each
Mm-hmm.
TNT Thursday on YouTube. That's the channel you're hopefully watching on. That's you can find us at the Shot Callers Podcast. Outside the NBA is kind of what we call this little segment here, and you can find us in podcast form. Kyle, have you learned what podcast platforms we are available on?
We are available on Apple Podcasts. Obviously, we're available on Spotify, uh, Google. We're on the Google Play Store, or
Google
it's
Podcasts,
Google Podcasts. Uh, I think it's called
Breaker,
Breaker.
Anchor.fm,
Okay, there you go.
Radio.com, a ton of them. So thank you
I,
guys. Oh, Stitcher.
oh, okay. I thought I was thinking of another app. Locker Room. It's a popular app now when it comes to like
We are not on that
pod.
platform. We're not
Uh,
going to speak about this. No
okay.
free advertising. If you want us to
Yeah.
talk about Locker Room, you can send us the dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you guys for joining in. Please like, share, subscribe, share with your friends. If you know someone that likes the NBA, please pass this podcast along. We would truly appreciate it. Leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts so we can rise up in the rankings. And like and subscribe on YouTube. Hit that
Hit the
notification
notification
bell
bell. Yep.
so that you never miss our uploads because we are the first podcast that's going to cover the games and the actual game action the way that we
Hmm.
always do. So, all right,
Yeah.
let's get right into it. The Milwaukee Bucks were favored against the
Yeah, they
Philadelphia
were.
76ers. There was a lot of things in the air. We didn't know if Giannis was going to play tonight. He did end up playing, as was evident. Uh, Joel Embiid back from his, I think 18 game absence with his injury, but he's been playing for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
Missing Ben Simmons, but they did get back
Hmm.
Tobias Harris, who
And Seth Curry.
and Seth Curry, who had been nursing several different ailments. Seems like Tobias Harris had some knee soreness, but he worked it out tonight on the court. What were your immediate takeaways from this clash of the East Titans?
Well, first of all, this game had me really excited because both of these games that were on prime time tonight. Obviously the playoffs are coming up. You know, they'll be here by the next month. And both of these games had serious playoff implications over for this first game. Milwaukee and Philadelphia, they're both competing for this first spot in the East, which is arguably pretty important because for a number of reasons, in my opinion. I don't know if seating matters that much to you, Richard, but I think getting the number one seed in the East is really important because you avoid having to play the two and the three seed, and the East is pretty top heavy when it comes to the top three seed. So if you only have to play one of them, then that's better for you.
So
And then
you're
all
saying that the one seed, whoever it is, if it's Philadelphia, can let the two and three, maybe Brooklyn and Milwaukee,
mm,
duke it out with each other.
yeah,
Or if Brooklyn goes to the first seed, let Philadelphia and Milwaukee duke it out with one another instead of having to go through
yeah,
the whole totem pole, is what you're saying.
mm,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
And then also, if you're the one seed, you more than likely avoid having to play Miami in the first round because right now, they're the seventh seed, so they would have to go through the play-in tournament and all that. But I believe they'll probably end up the seventh or potentially the sixth seed. but avoiding playing Miami or Boston or even the Knicks in the first round is pretty huge. Uh, I mean, obviously the Knicks aren't they're not a proven team in the playoffs just yet, but they're a tough team. Miami is a proven team in the playoffs.
Mhm.
They're a little bit shaken by injuries and some players are a bit inconsistent, like
Jimmy Butler
Hero.
says, I'm not worried about
Yeah,
seeding
yeah,
whatsoever. He
yeah,
says, the team get me to the playoffs and I will do the rest.
yeah.
So
I know.
you
That's
believe in this man? I don't doubt
yeah,
anything he
no,
says.
yeah. No, I believe it. I believe it. Trust me.
All right, Kyle.
I
So you have set the table
yeah.
wonderfully,
hmm
beautifully. I'm lifting the silver platter off this plate. Put the meat on the table. What happened in the game?
So what happened in this game? Milwaukee came out hot, hot, hot. Like they I think they went 4 for 4 opening up this game. And Philadelphia opened this game like 0 for 4 or something like that. They missed their first couple of shots. So they came out, they set the tone and they kind of held that tone like throughout the entire game. Uh I'll give Philadelphia credit. You know, they stayed with it, even though they were like down 20 or 15, yeah,
21 points.
10.
It was a
Yeah.
wire-to-wire victory for
hmm
Milwaukee, led by
hmm
21 points. They never gave up the lead to
hmm
Philadelphia. They were playing from behind the whole time.
Yeah.
27 points off turnovers for Milwaukee, which was
hmm
crazy, but
hmm
you didn't even notice that, it seems, because it just seemed they were shooting 70% from the field, I think, in the first
hmm
half. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. All the threes were going in. Brick
Yeah.
Lopez, um,
Yeah. Chris
shooting,
Middleton.
stroking it. Chris Middleton, of course.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday had it going just a
Yeah.
little bit too. Dante DiVincenzo bricked one wildly, so I mean that was going as expected. But yeah, it was just wire to wire, and they had 40 points in the first quarter, and they broke
Yeah.
100, I think, through three,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was unreal, and it just felt so debilitating at times because the Milwaukee would put in a three, and then Joel Embiid would have the offense run through him, and he'd oftentimes put a two or maybe an and one in, but they were
Yeah.
trading threes for twos, and they
hmm
somehow kept it within 15 to 20 points the entire game.
Yeah.
Man, it was
Uh,
demoralizing for me, and I'm just
yeah.
sitting
Yeah.
on my couch.
Yeah. And then even in the first quarter when they came out hot, Giannis only had 8 points in the first half, I believe. So it wasn't really even Giannis giving them that much punch uh, uh, in their offense. And they came out hot, even though the Sixers are the number two defense in the entire league. So, uh, really setting a statement, saying like, hey, we're not to be slept on, and then also like I was saying earlier, fighting for that playoff seeding. Like Milwaukee, especially if they beat Philadelphia again on Saturday, I believe, they have a good chance of getting the number one seed because Brooklyn, they're dealing with injuries. KD got hurt again, and James Harden re-aggravated his hamstring or never fully recovered, so he's out for even longer. So Brooklyn has the potential to slide. And then Philadelphia, I mean, they're dealing with a couple like minor illnesses. I guess especially with Ben Simmons, but he should be back anytime soon. He's not out for a long time.
Well, it's undisclosed what kind of
Oh,
illness he has, but,
oh
but
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I think it's non-COVID related is what you have to put
yeah.
on the injury report at this point.
Mhm,
So hopefully he gets well soon. His
mhm,
defense on the perimeter was definitely missed, and
mhm,
and Doc Rivers called out his team tonight, said that they played soft the entire game, and
mhm.
there definitely was a lot of interior presence going on.
Yeah.
They weren't fully building the wall that's come into vogue to say
Mhm.
every time the Milwaukee Bucks play a national opponent,
Yeah.
where the Raptors you saw in years past, where three guys would all just enclose, kind of like Red Rover, and try
Yeah.
to discourage Giannis from driving all the way to the rim and using his awesome athletic gifts to do easy, lay in scoop shots, kind of like Shaq when he was a little younger, or and
Yeah.
then pass it out to three. The problem in the past was for the Bucks is that he'd pass out to three to guys like you know, George Hill, Eric Bledsoe, guys that look kind of deer in the headlights at times.
Yeah.
Whereas now, Brook Lopez is more confident than ever. Chris Middleton's playing great like he has, but has the consistency oftentimes. Drew Holiday's playing like living up to his contract, so he's passing out to shooters that have a lot of confidence. I think a major upgrade in a lot of ways from years
Yeah.
past. guys that are a little younger as well,
Mm-hmm.
compared to like Kyle Korver, who is dead eye shooter, but
Mm-hmm.
can play 18 points, 18
Mm-hmm.
minutes a night, maybe on a good night.
Yeah.
Jeff Teague didn't play tonight, but fully healthy. Like they have a loaded roster, so
Mm-hmm.
they were definitely reaping the benefits. And it just made me so tonight's effort, like Joel Embiid, 24 points, a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of rebounds. I can read off all his stats for you in a minute. It was awesome to watch because he was given 100% on the offensive end and 100% on the
Eh,
defensive end. You
yeah.
saw that? Did you see that one interaction between when he was guarding Drew Holiday on the perimeter and Drew Holiday was
Uh,
trying to shake and bake?
yeah, yeah. I saw that. I believe it happened in the second quarter. I saw the highlight afterwards, and at first I kind of thought like, oh, like Drew Holiday, he kind of had him on the back foot a little bit, but Joel Embiid, like you were saying, yeah, he had good effort and he stayed with it the whole time, and Drew Holiday never got a good look at the basket. So,
No,
great,
and
great,
you said
great
it
defense
perfectly.
by
You
him.
said
Yeah.
you thought he was on his heels. He was actually on the balls of his feet, following him left
Mm,
and right, leaning forward, lurching back, and then uh,
yeah.
Drew had to give the ball up to Giannis, who then
Mm,
dished it back to him under the basket. Drew didn't give up on the play, ducked
mm-hmm.
underneath the basket to the left, and caught the ball, and then tried to go reverse or protect himself under the rim from Joel's shot attempt. But he sailed it. Like he
Yeah.
that ball bounced way over the rim, so that
Mm,
presence was definitely there. And I say that that's concerning, not because I don't believe that Joel Embiid can be in shape to do it. I think he can,
mm-hmm.
but I just think it's so taxing to be so great on the defensive end and have to carry the team on the offensive end when you don't have a
Yeah.
traditional second scorer in Ben Simmons. He contributes in so many other ways, but he's not always someone that you can post up every single time the way that Joel Embiid can.
Mm,
Um, and then when you just kind of think about how a playoff series might go against Brooklyn in the second round or the third round, uh, you have the luxury if you're Brooklyn, if they're healthy, you have three shots at having someone go for 40 points that night.
mm-hmm.
And then Joe Harris can put in 20 on one of those nights too to kind of alleviate the stress. But
Yeah.
if you need to go into 7 games, and you're like, all right, Joel, we need you to play 30, 10, and 10, 4 out of 7 times, and we got to put
Yeah.
the clamps on to stop a Brooklyn team. It makes me wonder how the coaching staff and the front
Yeah.
office feel having to deal with that going into 4 playoff series in a row because their aspirations are for a championship. It's not just
Yeah.
to get out of the second round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
So
sure.
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, I was gonna say shout out to Chris Middleton. He had a great like first half. I believe he scored like 21 in the first half. So great stuff from him. He did quiet down in the second half,
Are you
but
eating some crow? Is this you eating crow, Kyle? Because you were ripping on this man.
well, I know. I mean, I was ripping on him because I knew it was obvious he has the skill, like he has the ball handling, he has a shot creation, he has a vision. He was hitting assists, like he was hitting Brook Lopez a lot. Uh, Also shout out to Bobby Portis Jr. He had great minutes out there. Also, I wrote it down. Bryn Forbes, he had great
Hmm.
minutes out there too. Like they were hitting a lot of threes, and then uh, like you were saying earlier, Milwaukee has a much better lineup. You know that they also have PJ Tucker out there.
Yeah, yeah, and
At times,
so
he played great defense tonight, and then also he can give you that shooting. We haven't seen that much of it, but he can give you that shooting.
yeah, PJ in particular, 0 for 1 from 3,
Mhm.
but he's not just glued in the corner and waiting for a shot to come to him.
Mhm.
He's able to slide around the perimeter and kind of keep his man honest. If the guy's trying to get ball and man, keep him in view, he slides out of view and shifts the defense around to give different avenues or dribbling space for Drew
Mhm.
Holiday and Giannis, which is really important. Bryn
Yeah.
Forbes, like you said, had a couple of clutch threes, and then I believe Bobby
Yeah.
Portis. I don't know where the
Yeah.
junior came from. Where'd y'all get that from? Because it's not on his profile.
They
But
they
he
s-
had the.
they I thought they said it in the game, like the
You're probably
announcer
right.
said it.
I have the volume down sometimes,
Yeah.
but yeah, dude, probably the shooting night of his life.
Yeah.
5 for 5 from three, 9 for 11 overall, 81%. Like
Mhm.
that's the shooting that keeps it from
Yeah.
being a 9 point game where Philadelphia is kind of energized to
Mhm.
keeping it around 17 to 20 points, where you're like, God, it's such a tall mountain to climb.
Yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous.
and he was playing great defense too. There's even though Giannis ended out with a good game, a good solid game. Uh, if you saw like the third quarter, uh, that's really where it was literally like Joel Embiid and Giannis like going at each other the entire time,
Hmm.
and like back and forth, like starting at the midway point or midway through the third, like it was literally just like one-on-one ball, and I feel like whenever Giannis had the ball, Giannis kind of had mixed results against Joel Embiid because there was a couple times when Joel Embiid like uh he had a couple blocks on him or you
Hmm.
know one was deemed a foul, I guess, and then but then also a couple times or one time Giannis turned the ball over. He Joel Embiid was able to draw the offensive foul and stuff like that. So, but then also a couple times, Giannis was able to get to the rim and finish a play like that. So it's still kind of and that was just mostly just one on one too. It wasn't like double teams or triple teams, collapsing the whole paint on him. Uh, so I feel like Giannis still is a bit of a question mark at times on how efficient he can be, like offensively, like solely through him. Like
And he
I have
missed
hit,
8 free throws too.
yeah,
There was a
yeah.
time where I always skip the free throws because I'm usually watching the game behind, so I
Mhm.
can skip commercials and catch up to you guys because I usually work a little late. And anytime there's a free throw, I take a note of the score. I skip ahead 45 seconds, and I'm like, okay, they make one or they make two. And then half
Mhm.
the time with Giannis, it's like, oh, he missed both of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Not even just one to two. So that's how you
Yeah.
keep the efficiency up. You
Mhm.
make them when the shot didn't count towards your total
Mhm.
efficiency. So.
Yeah, yeah. And then also like uh the other night, I believe like the last game they played like yesterday, he was like 8 for 10 from the free throw line or like 9 for 10 like
Hmm.
so you know obviously his shot form is still like not perfect. It's been improving, I guess. And there was a couple times in this game, he pulled up from three, he pulled up from mid range, like again with like mixed results. He hit the like 1 3 he took, and then he took like two mid ranges like when Joel was on him. And then he missed one and then made the other one, but if he still has that to work on, and then I just think like he still needs to get more involved in like driving kicks, because there was a couple times like getting Bobby Portis involved in the game, like when he hit like three threes back to back. Uh, I believe it was also in that third quarter maybe. Uh, the good things came when the defense collapsed on him and he was able to do the driving kick. He needs to get more involved in pick and rolls, either as a screener or the ball handler, either one. I believe good stuff could happen there. Uh,
Yeah, the rare times you see Giannis actually set the screen and dive to the
yeah,
rim, like it's like
yeah,
he's like a
yeah.
phantom. He's so
Hmm.
huge and towering over everything. Like you wonder why that doesn't quite happen more
Hmm.
often. But it's a lot of times that Brook Lopez is on the floor too,
Hmm.
and that brings another big man that's going to guard him at times. So it kind of can clog things up a little bit. But no, you're right. That's a wrinkle that I definitely want to see. Especially if Ben Simmons is going to be out there too, like what kind of other ways can they keep it creative? A
Hmm.
lot of times Giannis will drive and put a lot of pressure on the rim, suck in some defense, and then he'll
Yeah,
pass it off to someone like Drew Holiday, who's
yeah,
a capable passer, and then he'll
yeah.
get a kind of a hockey assist. So it might not lead directly to that
Hmm.
Bobby Portis flamethrower that happened tonight,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, I know what you mean. You want to see some more diversity,
yeah.
uh, which is kind of like, is that a Coach Bud kind of thing where he's not going to be super diverse because he returns
Hmm.
to the well of what he knows
Hmm.
so often. I'm surprised they made so many wholesale changes to the bench. This year here where they got Bobby Portis in, whereas in the past, Kyle Korver, they got Jeff Teague back. Like if
Yeah.
he's like Doc Rivers,
Hmm.
if you played for him in the past, you're coming back. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I wonder how many other Hawks like are they going to trade for? Are they going to try to somehow sneak Dennis Schroeder back on the team?
I know.
Who used to be on a Coach Bud's squad. Where's Al Horford at? He's playing for the Thunder, but they paid him to stay home. He might as well show up in a Bucks uniform.
Hmm.
But
All right. I kind of have a quick question for you. Do you think Coach Bud's position like is that question if the Bucks don't make the Eastern Conference Finals or the finals? Like, do you think they could fire him?
I definitely think it's the number one. I don't think that. I mean, I'm not an insider. I'm not
Yeah,
Shams,
yeah.
but I don't think his seat is hot. But I think
hmm
that's the only change that they could possibly make because they've
Yeah.
already shaken up the bench, and they've already signed their long term guys in Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and
hmm
Giannis. That was the biggest achievement. They're not going to trade any of those three guys. They just signed them.
hmm
So the only other wholesale change you can make is change the ownership or change the coach. And what's the ownership gonna do? Change themselves? No, they're gonna
Yeah,
change the coach.
yeah,
So most definitely, like that's definitely what I think is gonna happen if they don't make a deep run
yeah.
through the Eastern Conference Finals. Like it needs to be like a 6 game series because they got basically blown off the court by the Heat in
Yeah.
about 5 games
In
last
the
season.
second round too, not even
Yeah,
the Eastern Conference Finals.
and Giannis was hurt, but you saw that the role
hmm
players didn't step up, and that's
hmm
why they made a few changes that they did. But that's
hmm
definitely what I see happening.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree with you completely. That's literally what I was thinking. Like this is like probably the only change that they can make. They've made, a bunch of tweaks to the lineup, and the lineup looks good. And if they're still not able to convert, uh, then it's got to be Coach Bud that'll end up in the hot seat, even though it's like not really hot right now. Even though
Hmm.
like potentially you could probably point some of the blame on the players as well. Like maybe Chris Middleton underperforms or Giannis underperforms because of like his lack of like playmaking or shot or just like shot creation, I guess, but
Hmm.
more like jump shooting is what I mean. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Like maybe they get the first seed. If not, then if they end up with the second or third, then they'll definitely have a tougher road in the playoffs. Um, if I don't know this year's playoffs, I think I'm pretty excited for. Like throughout the whole like even in the first round, like let's say the Bucks end up with a second seed, they could potentially
Hmm.
play Miami in the first round. Like who knows what'll happen there? Uh, cause Miami had their number last year. Who we'll see if it happens again this year. But then after that, they'll probably have to play Brooklyn or something, and then play the Sixers. Or I mean, not the Sixers. Oh yeah, yeah, the Sixers in the Eastern Conference Finals or something. So uh, they could potentially have a really difficult playoff run, or they could have like a really easy like. I mean, well, not easy, but like. Uh,
A favorable one,
yeah,
one that
yeah,
they would
yeah.
want.
hmm
Yeah, and so we're looking ahead to the playoffs again. Is there anybody on the Sixers that you want to shout out before we move forward? And I wanted to mention the results of what we picked as far as the game betting line
hmm
went tonight. And I wanted to say Um, just one more shout out to the absence of Ben Simmons. Robin would want
hmm
us to say, everyone can now see how important
Yeah.
Ben Simmons really is.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and we know this. I mean,
Uh-huh.
we're Ben
hmm
Simmons fans, but a lot of times people will say, "Oh, he's only averaging 12 points." What kind of
I
superstar can do that?
I'm a bit middling on Ben Simmons,
Well,
but
you're wrong. But they had 4 fast break points tonight. Like
yeah,
they
yeah.
need easier shots.
Hmm
So Ben Simmons is obviously someone that's not afraid to hit it ahead,
hmm
can use his athleticism in the open court. He looks like a
Yeah.
mini Giannis. So
Yeah,
definitely
for sure.
think that they're missing that element for sure, for sure. Uh,
Uh
Anybody you want to shout out?
yeah, I was gonna shout out Tyrese Maxey and Shake Milton. They're gonna need their kind of playmaking and 3-point shooting come playoff time. Take a little bit of the pressure off Giannis and I mean not Giannis, Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris had an okay game. Like he didn't have a too much of a shot game. I believe like I think well one of their weaker elements on offense is when they have Matisse Thybulle out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think he needs to be a little bit more of an offensive threat. I think tonight he only had like 5 points, but he only took like two shots. I think he hit a three and he had like a dunk or a layup or something. But the night before last night when they lost a close game to Phoenix, they only lost by a bucket, but he also Matisse Thybulle also had 0 points. Like if he hit one layup or a three here, or like just was a little bit more of a threat on offense because he started last night as well because Tobias Harris wasn't playing and Seth Curry wasn't either. So if he was just like a little bit more of a threat, then uh, that could be like their X factor because he's already great on defense.
Yeah,
And
man,
he's a
he's terrific
he.
in open space. His hands are great. His
Hmm.
deflections are terrific. Like he gets his hand in the cookie jar in ways that you'd never even expected.
Hmm.
And I just think like, well, his handle is not tight, and his three
Yeah.
point shooting is shaky. So he needs
Hmm.
to he can't dribble into a shot. He's got to get a catch and shoot,
Hmm.
which can be tough depending on how they're setting doubles at Joel Embiid. But he's a little bit like Danny Green. Danny Green can't
Yeah.
always dribble. Danny
Yeah.
Green can definitely
Yeah.
shoot.
Uh,
But it's just like
yeah.
no,
If.
nobody has an excuse, but it's hard on a second year player
Hmm.
um, to develop outside of real games when he's often in there in crunch moments where, I mean, he started the
Yeah.
other day, like you said, because they needed him to, but they'll put him in crunch defensive possessions,
Hmm.
not necessarily like, oh, we're on offense and let's try to get you developing or coming off screens or
Yeah.
anything of that nature. So, how do you develop that when you have a coach that doesn't like to practice? Doug Rivers doesn't like practicing. And then his first season was the season that got interrupted. I mean, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Got interrupted by the bubble, and
Hmm.
then you can even see on his blog like he just doesn't get a lot of time to practice due to the nature of the pandemic. Like he's new to the
Yeah.
NBA, he's getting
Hmm.
his surroundings and getting acclimated to everything. How's he gonna work on these skills? It just made me laugh on one of them when they were playing they were playing bags. What's the real name for bags? Where you have the board and you throw the bags into the hole.
Oh, it's
Um,
I think it's like cornhole
yeah,
or like
cornhole. Yeah, I call
yeah.
it bags. That's
Yeah.
what we called it in the hood. But they're playing bags, and he's talking to somebody, and they're like, Batiste, stop talking to that guy. And he's like, I don't have any friends in the NBA. I want to talk to these people. Some people on the Thunder or whatever on the Rockets. So that made me laugh. But um, that combined going into this year where there's virtually no practice time,
Hmm.
their schedules are all out of whack. These guys got to wake up at 10 in the morning on their off days to go get tested. Like,
Hmm.
any errand that you got to run repetitively, like it's everything out of whack. Just ask the
Yeah.
Toronto Raptors who are playing in Tampa Bay. Like everything's weird. So I have optimism for him in the coming years. But you're right, that's going to be a big
Yeah.
thing and a big weakness that's going to be preyed upon because you're only as strong as your weakest link, and you can't always sub guys in and out, defense and offense, if you're out of timeout. So you need
Yeah.
people to be versatile on both sides of the ball. So I mean, we'll see. It's a lot of question marks, on
Hmm.
guys 4 through 9 in their rotation.
Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah.
time to figure out who's got it going on that night?
Yeah, I agree with you too. Like in for Matisse Thybulle's future, like if he works on his shooting, I'm sure he'll have more time. This off season should be longer, so he'll
Hmm.
have more time. Uh, maybe they'll actually have a spring training.
Or
Uh,
training camp
yeah,
before the.
training camp before the season next season. So, he'll have time to work on his game. Obviously, he's very young as well, so he has plenty of time to develop. But yeah, there's definitely question marks all around, like with all three of the teams on the East. Like, uh, you know, with Milwaukee, it's like, is Chris Middleton and Giannis gonna perform? For the 76ers, how was their bench going to be? Will they be able to contribute more than just like the starters? And
Hmm.
then for the Brooklyn Nets, it's like, is KD going to be healthy? Is James Harden going to be healthy? Like they have a great stacked lineup, but are their star key guys gonna be there? So it's all up in the air at this point. I think it's exciting. I mean, I'm sure KD will be. Hopefully, he'll be back in time for playoffs, but well, we'll just have to wait and see. It's. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Good, good, good. And then just the final note on this
Yeah.
game. We did have the line given to us by Robin this morning. I said the Bucks were favored. They were favored by 8, so they needed to win by 8 or
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
to cover. And yourself, Kyle, Robin, both selected the Bucks in their pick'em contest. Rich over here picked the Sixers because I thought they were going to keep it close, and they were getting blown out the whole game,
Yeah.
as we mentioned, up until we got kind of into garbage time, and they kind of
Yeah.
went on a little run, a spirited run. Dwight Howard, Mike Scott lighting them up, 3 for 5 from three. Tyrese Maxey did a little something, something. The rookie. and they ended up
And
losing by 7, but they covered. So Rich gets the win. Kyle rolls his eyes, but it's still an
it's
L.
so dumb, so dumb. Like
And
they
that's
they
just
were
how it is.
full court pressing. I mean, I guess Doc Rivers, he was trying to get his reserves like some reps and stuff, but still, it was like so dumb. It was like mind-boggling to me. They cut it to like 5,
If
and
Giannis would
and
have made that free throw, I mean,
well,
y'all
I
would have
mean
won.
that's true. That's true too. Giannis could have made a free throw, but then at the same time, I thought it was dumb that they were full court pressing in the fourth quarter when they're losing by 20 by the
I just
reserves
said
on both teams.
I just got done saying they don't got practice time. This is practice time. Kyle, you want to practice? This is how
Doc
Tyrese
Rivers
Maxey gets
doesn't
the
like the.
practice. Yeah, yeah, he wants practice in the game. All right,
Uh,
let's move on. You got any more questions for me? You want to move on to the Mavericks
no,
Lakers?
I guess we'll move on. I was just gonna say like it's kind of embarrassing that the Milwaukee's reserves they couldn't break a full court press, but whatever.
Oh man, when restrictions are over, you can show them how it's done, Kyle. Whenever basketball truly returns to DFW. All right. So next up, and I was gonna say, the Sixers and Bucks play again on Saturday. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, back to back. Both of these primetime matchups, they're both back to backs. Like
Exactly, exactly. So
yeah.
the Lakers Mavericks are playing game 1 of 2, the triumphant return of
Mm,
Anthony Davis on a minutes
hmm
restriction, but he did come in, show some stuff. It was a back and forth game, wild swings all the way
yeah.
around, like 10
Uh,
point run one way, 12-point run another way. Porzingis
yeah.
was getting blocks, Doncic was all over the place.
Hmm.
Anthony Davis showed some real versatility. Drummond was like moving his big ass body all
Yeah.
over people. Contavious Caldwell
Hmm.
Pope putting up a bunch of points. Dennis Schroeder
Yeah.
was like a man
Yeah.
alive. Like that guy looked like
Hmm.
the Flash out there.
Yeah. He
Um,
was he was doing lots of things, getting in people's heads, faces, manipulating the refs, doing pull he has a big bag of tricks and he knows how to use it.
that and then guys like Montrezl Harrell
Mm,
getting offensive boards, putbacks like
mm.
he's known to do. Got him his Sixth Man of the Year trophy last year. But at the end of the day, the Mavericks ended up prevailing and they ended up winning 115 to 110 over the
Oh
Lakers.
yeah. I went 0 for 2 in my picks.
Correct. Kyle
Oh
took the
my
Lakers.
gosh.
Robin and I took the Mavs.
Ugh, so dumb.
Dallas is favored by 3. They won by 5, so they covered. So
Well,
I'm 2-0 on this one. Robin is 1-1 tonight, and Kyle's 0 for 2. Does anyone that went 0 for 2 have anything to say? Oh, that's you. What were you saying?
Uh, all right, this pick, I'm not as upset about. Obviously I'm a Dallas fan, uh, but I picked the Lakers just because I thought we would see more production out of AD and stuff. But he missed 30 games, which is a lot,
God,
and it's
30?
I know I was like, man, 30 games, like he's out that long, like man. Uh, but yeah, he definitely showed a lot more rust than I expected. I thought we would get more production out of him. I knew he would also be on a minutes restriction, but then at the same time, the minutes restriction, like he was only allowed to play in the first half. So in the second half, he wasn't there. I thought he would get some minutes first half and second half. Uh, so that kind of went into my thought process. I was expecting 80 to do a little bit better, but he shot 2 for 10. Like he didn't shoot very well, but uh, just give him a couple. I mean, maybe like a week. Maybe he'll be back on Saturday. Uh, looking like himself. But well, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, he's a great player, so he'll bounce back. It's just a question of when.
Yeah, for sure. He looked really frustrated checking out of the game, and
Yeah.
I was kind of emboldened with my pick when I heard that he had a 15-minute restriction,
Hmm.
because he started the game. I saw him starting. I was like, okay, he's starting. I doubt they're gonna play him, you know, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes. I think they'd
Yeah.
want to see how
Yeah.
far of a run he can get, like a normal starting
Hmm.
stint, which is usually like 8 to 10 minutes in the first quarter before they sit him down. And then I was like, okay, well then I doubt then they'll just start him again in the third quarter because he'll be
Hmm.
cold. You don't want to go hot, cold, hot, I would guess.
Yeah.
So at that point, he played in the second hour. I guess that's it. There'll be no AD in the second half, and he looked
Yeah.
pretty frustrated talking to LeBron. LeBron looked like he was trying to pick up his team because I'm sure he's
Mm.
missing being out there and he's trying to be a secondary coach on the sidelines. Um, but it was a pretty fun game to watch.
Yeah.
The thing the thing that was sticking out to me the most about the Lakers, and I am not slandering them. I know the Lakers have a lot of fans. I know they're a good team. I know they're
Yeah,
world champions. I know they're tied for the most championships in the NBA.
and the number one
But
defense right now.
number one defense, which is terrific, and what
Yeah.
I'm about to say goes hand in hand with your number one defense.
Mm.
They are so fucking boring. It's crazy. They're just
Yeah.
so boring. Like,
Yeah.
so bland. Like, Anthony Davis, bland. Like, no personality. Yeah, you got a big eyebrow. That's great. Andre Drummond, like, I think his name is Big Penguin. Like, he used to have,
Yeah.
like, hairy shoulders. Like, I don't know. There's just nothing cool about you. Like, and, like, he gets a lot of boards. That's great. Takes up a lot of space. That's impressive. He gets some putbacks sometimes. But he's not someone that skies for a rebound over these other athletes. He's not someone that seems to have a lot of touch around the rim. He'll get putbacks a lot like Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell, it's more, I guess, eye-catching because he's smaller than a lot of guys,
Yeah.
and he's very demonstrative. He'll shake the rim, rattle the rim when he dunks, and yell a lot, and his hair's flying everywhere.
Yeah.
Andre Drummond is so nondescript. He just looks like a guy that's bigger than the other eighth graders on the court. So when you combine him, Alex Caruso, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, who's very solid, but none of them are very flashy. LeBron James, we posted I think we retweeted a post from our account
Yeah.
saying that he's been cooking dudes with the most basic,
Yeah, I know.
the most basic move of all
like,
time from three. This is what he's doing,
Yeah.
and if you guys can cut to the YouTube video if you're listening for this, I'm not doing a bad representation, I don't think, because this is such an easy move that he's cooking everybody with. Gets the ball from three, steps to the right, and then just shoots it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. He literally just like takes a side step and then like puts it up, and it's not even like really fast or like he makes
Nope.
like a really big jump. He literally just takes like a side step and then
and he'll move his
puts it
head
up.
like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will put that in the description. You guys have to see that tweet. You have to. But put that all together and you get a boring ass team. Frank Vogel, boring. Like, he's not fiery like some other coaches. Super calm, collected, in control. And this is a compliment because they play good, solid, connected defense. Everyone works hard. But not everyone can be the Detroit Bad Boys. They don't rough people up. They just play hard. But when you're watching, it's like, man, nobody here is like, where's the spectacle? Where's the magic? And they're playing against Luka Magic over here on the other side, who has this panache. And when Kristaps is being all super tall and lanky, gets a block. It's like an event, because you don't see it very often. So it's just like, man, like, I want the spectacle. I want the Joel Embiid cross chops. But these guys don't got the attitude. So I don't know.
Have you seen that other LeBron meme where it's like, it's somebody asking a question on Twitter? It's like, who has the worst shot selection in the NBA? And the reply was, LeBron James after he makes a three, and it was just like a video of him like jacking up a bunch of like super deep threes, and they all like airball or like hit the side of the backboard. And
Oh, after he makes
so,
the
like,
first one?
yeah, after he makes the first
the heat
one,
checks.
yeah. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I mean LeBron is pretty simple, I would say, but effective. All right, at least at this point in his career.
Definitely. It's not
Yeah.
that he's never been flashy. It's just
Yeah,
he's not
Uh-huh.
playing right now, and all we're seeing is,
Yeah.
guys 3 through 9.
Mhm.
So anyway, that's kind of what was standing out to me. On the Maverick side, I was complimenting the defense from the Lakers.
Mhm.
There was a moment where Luka Doncic was driving. He spun around Dennis Schroeder, got all over to the
Mhm.
paint, and Harold did a great job of sliding over and contesting
Mhm.
the shot without. He didn't block it, but he got Luka to give up the ball, and so Luka had to pass out to the perimeter. Didn't seem to be any kind of tricky passing lanes he could get to, but Tim Hardaway Jr. did a great job of sliding into open space the way that I said PJ Tucker does. Instead of just being stuck in the corner, he's giving Luka an avenue to pass it out. So he slid over, shot the three. Tim Hardaway Jr., as Robin might have predicted somewhere, missed that three. And
Yeah.
then Luka got the rebound, running away towards the corner, like over his head, so the ball came from behind me into my hands. Then he turns back towards the basket and shoots a three without dribbling. It looked like when Klay
Yeah.
Thompson catches a pass and immediately shoots, except Luka was running towards the sideline, turned around and shot a three-pointer without dribbling again, and it was lightly contested. Like
Mhm.
that was like a as big of a what the fuck moment as some of his like 3-point buzzer beaters. Like what
Yeah.
the fuck? Like this guy makes it look so easy. It's
Hmm.
crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know Robin will. Okay, I'll just get this out the way real quick.
Let's get the
Uh,
Robin quote of the night.
yeah, yeah. Uh, Tim Hardaway Jr. Not one of Robin's favorite players. He's pretty inconsistent, and he didn't have a great night offensively
Do you want
tonight.
me to read his line to you? Two for
Well,
10 from the
yeah,
field.
yeah. That's what I was about to say. 2 for 10, 20%. Not good, not good. Uh, and then there's a couple times where he just had the ball after they ran their offense, and then Luca passed it off to him, and he had it. I believe it was like twice. He ISO'd like top of the key or something on like Dennis Schroeder, and when he has to do stuff like that, good things don't really happen. He's kind of like a J.R. Smith type of player, I guess. Uh, where it's like if he's able to like catch and shoot and or make something happen like immediately off the dribble, like attacking the closeout and stuff, like he can make good things happen and he can make good like deep contested threes and stuff. But then if you expect them to like make like kind of like a smart play like off the dribble, like when the play dies or whatever, that's when that's not the right guy you want to have the ball. So, but anyways, he could potentially be trade bait next year. Him and KP, because KP left his game like with an ankle injury. I was reading tweets before we started the podcast. Rick Carlisle said like, oh, he's not in a boot or anything. We don't know the severity, but he was saying like he was walking around on his own weight like after the game, so it's probably not that serious. But still, it's always like, oh, like it's always a question mark.
I'm
KP
holding
self.
out hope, man. I'm holding out hope.
Yeah, yeah,
I've been a Porzingis fan since he was in New York and he got
yeah.
drafted. I went to New
Mm,
York 2 times to see him play, and he
mm-hmm.
wasn't there either time. He was injured. Um, but he's playing in back-to-backs now, so I feel
Yeah.
as though they're ramping up his conditioning.
Mm,
A turned ankle is turned ankle. I don't think that has anything to do
yeah.
with like any kind of weakness or abnormalities in his body.
Mm,
I think that he'll be available for the entire playoff run, is my
yeah.
feeling at the moment. I hope every player that's suffering injury gets healthy so we can see a full, slate of full-powered
Mm,
games in the playoffs, Mavericks included with Kristaps. So I hope he recovers soon. We'll save that trade wish for another conversation, I guess. If you're
yeah.
if you're wanting Tim
I,
Hardaway and Kristaps to be gone. Um,
KP, I do like him and stuff, but it's just like it's tough when he's so out so often. But going into this game, I was expecting KP to get bullied by Drummond and AD going into this game, so that's also kind of why I had the Lakers, or why I thought the Lakers had an edge. Uh, and there were times when I guess I was about to say AD, but Andre Drummond and Anthony Davis both are AD.
you're
So,
right. We got to give
uh,
him an actual nickname that
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
initials.
yeah.
Mm.
uh, there was a couple times Drummond caught the ball in the post against KP, and it was just like, up, all right, he got a bucket. You got you kind of have to back up there. You're not really gonna be able to defend this. He's just like too skinny and too long to be able to really contest it. But I at the same time, I thought he did a solid job defensively, and I thought Dallas had a great game defensively all around. Like it was, this game was a little weird. You were saying the lead was going back and forth. Like it wasn't like the traditional like, oh, this they're just like trading buckets, and then like, oh, this team goes up by one or two, and then okay, the other team made like two in a row and now they're up by three or something. No, it was like okay, Dallas will go on a run, they'll be up by like 10, and then the Lakers will go on a run right after that, after they call a timeout or whatever, and they'll be up by
Mm.
like 8, and then it went back and forth like that a couple times, like in the second and third quarter. So it was kind of weird like that. But I thought I liked how Willie Cauley Stein played defense. Uh, Josh Richardson, he had good minutes. Like he was playing great defense, and then both of them, both Willie Cauley-Stein and Josh Richardson, they had good moments on offense too. Like every time, there was a bunch of times like they would have like pick and roll with Willie Cauley-Stein, and like almost every time like Luca or Jalen Brunson was trying to lob it to him, uh, and he got the dunk a couple times, but he got fouled a couple times after that because they saw what he was doing, but. Uh, Dorian Finney-Smith, he had good minutes defensively. He didn't contribute much offensively tonight. He did have that one highlight poster, like he dunked in between like two Lakers players, so that was pretty badass. But I like Dallas defensively. I mean, they were looking good. The numbers probably, I mean, especially throughout the whole season, they've had their defensive troubles. Like they've actually been like the same or if not worse defensively after those trades because they were trying to improve their defense. But right now, it looks like they're getting their stuff together, especially on defense. So I look forward to seeing that throughout these closing games of the regular season.
Yeah, and I guess one of the only other notes I have on this one is the center rotation. It really confuses me at times.
Yeah.
You mentioned
Hmm.
that Kristaps didn't get bullied so hard. I believe, is the most effective when he's able to play alongside another center like Willie Cauley-Stein, like you said,
Hmm.
and come off the help side to get a help side block or sky in for a
Yeah.
rebound without needing to box out because his
Hmm.
center of gravity is very high. It's hard for him to
Hmm.
box out heavier guys.
Yeah.
And even a guy like Andre Drummond who doesn't have that many post moves or like a signature shot that he can get over anyone, still had some
Yeah.
success against him.
Hmm.
But so that's something that I want to keep an eye on and see if he can have success that way from the perimeter going inward. But as far as center rotation goes, I want to know, how's Dwight Powell progressing? His minutes
Hmm.
are all over the place. But I saw something a little bit encouraging because in previous seasons before his injury, he was the only vertical threat that the Mavericks had
Yeah.
for Luca to,
Hmm.
to lob to. He'd get two, maybe three dunks in a game off the pick and roll, which is terrific because you'd have to honor it. But that athleticism isn't quite there the way that it once was, so
Hmm.
that's not going to happen as much. And so he did get a lob attempt. They lobbed it up to him
Oh,
for Luke. Luca did at the end of the
yeah.
shot clock. He didn't get to put it in. It was a tough shot, so
Hmm.
no big deal on that miss. But the very next possession, they lobbed it up to him again in the fourth quarter, and he goes up and he does what I've said before on some episode of this podcast that I think is very smart for big guys to do is they'll go for the lob and their defenders will try to contest it, but if the lay in or the dunk isn't easy, just take it back down and jump again. You see
Hmm.
Zion do it all the time, and
Yeah.
Dwight
Uh-huh.
Powell did the exact same thing. He went down, went back up, and got the lay in. And if he can make smart plays like that, he will find success outside of raw athleticism. So um, that center rotation is going to be really key because
Hmm.
you don't need a lot of minutes to break Luka Doncic because he's been able to average 35 plus minutes, 36, 37, and crank it up. So you don't need
Hmm.
a big backup time for Jalen Brunson. And hopefully you never let Tim Hardaway handle the ball. But
Yeah.
uh, and then you got Josh Richardson too that can do his
Hmm.
thing. But with Kristaps and Dwight Powell together as their backcourt, and then you got questions about um, Maxi Kleber. Do you want Willie Cauley Stein in there? Do you want Boban in there? It's
Yeah.
so matchup dependent.
Hmm.
It's a big question mark. So I'm gonna be watching that going forward too. If the Mavericks can escape the play-in tournament.
Yeah. And then at the same time, like the Dallas centers, especially like tonight, they're not like the biggest guys. They're fairly athletic, but they're not the biggest guys out on the court. They're not the strongest guys. Like they're pretty slim, and I guess they're quicker than probably most centers. But
Man,
like post defense, like
we are in the year of the center,
yeah,
bro. Joel
yeah,
Embiid,
mhm,
Giannis is kind of a center.
yeah,
They
he
were saying
is.
this on the broadcast tonight. Jokic, DeAndre
Hmm.
Ayton, like these are all matchups that they could potentially see,
Hmm.
depending on how far they want to go. So it's gonna be a big question,
Uh,
man.
yeah, yeah, and then like we were talking about Milwaukee and Philadelphia, like this these two games are pretty big for both teams uh when it comes to playoff contention because that all these teams they're trying to like Dallas, the Lakers, and Portland. They're all trying to avoid the play-in tournament. Get that extra week of rest and stuff like that. Um, Portland has been sliding. They're tied with Dallas now for the same record. Um, and the Lakers, they've been on a skid because they just got AD back, and then
Hmm.
uh, so they're trying to not dip too low to make their playoff a road like tougher than they need to be. I mean, obviously they're probably the most talented team in the West when they get LeBron back. Uh, but still, there's still a bit of time that has to happen or that has to pass before LeBron comes back, and then there's a little bit of time to let AD like get back to his good healthy self, and it's uh, everybody's trying to avoid that seventh seed and face like it could be Philadelphia, or I mean not Philadelphia, Phoenix, or it
Hmm.
could be it could be even the
The
Clippers.
Clippers. Yep.
So it's still kind of a question mark. I think it kind of depends a lot on uh this next game coming up on Saturday. If the Lakers lose that one and Dallas wins, that gives Dallas a really good chance of getting the sixth seed. Portland has been struggling as of late, not a bit of a skid, and I have the Lakers schedule pulled up. I believe the Lakers. I think they'll have a pretty good chance of staying out of the play-in tournament because their next couple of games, like after Dallas, they play Orlando, Washington, and Sacramento. Like those games, especially with AD coming back, like those games should be gimmies. And then they also play Toronto. They do have a kind of a tough stretch in there, where they face Denver, the Clippers, Portland. They'll probably be I mean we'll see Portland's form when it comes up. Uh, they play Phoenix and the Knicks. Uh, Phoenix is definitely a tough team. The Knicks are still kind of a question mark. They've been playing great as of late, but
Great defense.
yeah, great defense.
Don't sleep on the
So
Knicks.
yeah, no, I definitely not. Julius Randle's been playing great. Derrick Rose has been playing great. He scored 20 off the bench
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
night.
We
Uh
know.
well, you don't have to act like that. I'm happy. I'm happy. And also the games before that, he's been giving good production off the bench as well. So I'm like, the getting good minutes out of Emmanuel quickly and RJ
Taj
Barrett.
Taj Gibson's on the team.
Yeah,
Another
yeah.
guy that brings all their old dudes back.
I
Tom
know.
Thibodeau.
Yeah, Tom Thibodeau. Yeah. But then after those games, then they have a couple of gimme games. Again, Houston, Indiana, and New Orleans. To close out the season, I believe. Yeah. So they do have a tough stretch in there, but then they also have like easy stretch in there as well. So it's I believe they'll at least remain like the fifth or the sixth seed. But so I think mostly the question is in between like Portland and Dallas. Um, uh,
Who's gonna be in the plane?
yeah, who's gonna be in the plan and
Um,
who's gonna have to face like Phoenix or the Clippers.
I did have one final player note I wanted to talk
Mm.
about, and it's on the Dallas side again. What'd you think of the minutes that JJ Redick got tonight? Anything?
Yeah, they were pretty good. They were pretty good. Like, and it was minutes when Luca wasn't out there either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was creating and he was getting teammates involved. Like in the few minutes that he was out there, he had a cool like fake pass and then finish and
Yeah.
then
So,
and
uh
then
huh.
and then he also had a good no look pass right before that or like the play before that. So uh, he hit a three when he was out there too. Like it was cool to watch. And then he's kind of like he could potentially be like a little secret weapon come playoff time or later in the season. So
Yeah, you took
I
all
I
the
thought it was
words
cool. Yeah.
out of my mouth. 11
Mhm.
minutes, 3 for 5,
Mhm.
and outside of the stats, I think this is probably the most encouraging minutes that I've seen him play
Mhm.
as the Maverick so far. People were
Yeah.
wondering, oh, does he want to be here? He
Yeah.
wanted to live in New York, but he just looked like he was having a good time, and he
Yeah.
looked like the game was slow for him in a good way.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
he had a move and a counter move to everything. He was in the lane and like
Mhm.
he had that fake, fake pass as he drove to the rim and laid it in. Like he pump faked, sidestep dribble to the right on the right
Mm-hmm.
wing, and then shot
Uh-huh.
a three after that. I think he missed it, but just the fact that he looked like he could predict what his defenders were going to do and move
Mm-hmm.
into open space, and you need creativity like that in unexpected moments where Luka has gotten a drive that's stopped or he's out of the play. Porzingis isn't out there, and you need something that beyond a very simple straight line drive and pass.
Yeah.
You
Uh-huh.
know, get the unpredictability and someone that's been in big moments before and has a terrific 3 point percentage, that's definitely going to be useful, I would think. And he's
Mm-hmm.
not as old as Kyle Korver was, so
Yeah.
I think that's definitely can be a positive for a team that wants
Mm.
to make a surprise playoff run.
Yeah. Looking ahead again, I just theorizing kind of matchups that Dallas may have for the first round. Uh, it's I think even if they get out of the play-in tournament, out of the seventh seed, if
Hmm.
they get, I think best case scenario is that they get the fifth seed, but I think it's pretty unlikely that they get the fifth seed. Uh, uh, I think the only way they get the fifth seed is if Denver like has a meltdown, but I doubt that with uh
They're still hot, bro.
yeah,
Eh,
they're still good even without
Um,
Jamal Murray. Um, they're probably not going to the finals or even the Western Conference Finals, but
I wouldn't
they're
put
still
anything
really good.
past that dude.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
yeah,
say, and I'm not
uh,
gonna put any predictions on that one.
yeah, yeah,
I wanted to ask you a quick question.
yeah.
I
Go
know
ahead.
we're forecasting a lot, but you are one of the biggest basketball fans that I know.
Hmm.
Do you know how the playoff or the play-in tournament works? Can you describe that?
Uh, yeah, the playoff or the
The
play-in
play-in.
tournament.
Yep, the
Yeah, the
7, 8,
play-in
9,
tournament.
10 seeds. How does that
So
work? Because I know a
the
lot of people don't know. It's new this year.
isn't it the seventh and the eighth seed play, and whoever wins that game gets the seventh seed, and then uh the tenth and the ninth seed they play, and then whoever wins that game plays the loser of the uh of the 7-8 game.
Correct. Yeah, you got it
Yeah,
exactly right.
okay.
7 and 8 play. Winner gets the top seed. The
Hmm.
loser doesn't. They're not out yet, but whoever won between the 9 and 10
Yeah.
plays that loser, and then if the lower seed wins, they take their spot in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If that higher speed seed wins, then they get to keep their spot. They get two
Hmm.
chances to stay in. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's the play-in tournament. That's gonna be that first weekend before the playoffs start, and I hope we get some fireworks because at the moment I think
Yeah.
Golden State and San Antonio are in those spots, but
Hmm.
it's all liquid. So many teams can be in those spots. I think between the two conferences, 7 teams are all vying for that 10
Hmm.
seed. So
Yeah.
you never know. The Wizards,
I
they're
know
still
that's
there.
yeah, I know that's what I was gonna say. The What do you think about the Wizards? They're the 10th seed in the East right now. They're
The
in the
what the
play-in
fuck
tournament.
Wizards? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I know. They're a big question mark. When we watched Wizards game earlier in the season, I mean, well, not even earlier in the season, like a couple weeks ago,
hmm
uh, I noted that they had wins against like uh the Clippers and the Jazz, but they were losing to like all the bad teams.
hmm
So, but they're on a 6 game winning streak or something like that. Um, so it's just like they're kind of a weird team, but they have firepower with Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. So I mean, and then also the East playing tournament, like other than like Miami making it out for sure. Other than that, I have no idea who like anybody could get that 8 seed. Like Charlotte could get it. I doubt the Pacers would get it. With Miles Turner out, that hurts their defense. Um, yeah, I mean, but Karis LeVert and Malcolm Brogdon have looked great. Um, Sabonis has been, kind of iffy as of late. Um, the Wizards are there, and the Bulls are trying to get in there. The Raptors are trying to get in. Uh, so it's that one's definitely up in the air. People, any one of those teams could get the 8 seed, but then it's I I think the Wizards maybe they have the best chance against the first seed just
hmm
because of their star power, but other than that, it's like,
against the first seed.
well, I mean, there's potential for upset. Like there's
I don't
potential
know. Okay.
for no.
It's getting
I'm
late.
just no. I'm just saying there's potential. All the other teams like no chance, no chance. But like there's like a small sliver of hope. Like these guys are experienced. They're great players. Like they're both of them are superstars. But other than that, I don't give them more than like a sliver.
All right. Well, number one Washington fan Kyle says.
I'm not being unreasonable by saying this. Don't act that way.
Well, thanks for enlightening us, Kyle, on the inner workings and matchups you're watching in the play-in tournament.
Hmm.
We'll definitely be formulating our coverage because we definitely
Yeah.
want to change up and cover as much of the playoffs as we can outside of our full-time jobs.
Hmm.
So please stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching this episode. Please tune in for our next ones.
Hmm.
Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Like the video if you like it. Leave a comment. We'd love to
Hmm.
interact back. Um, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of these episodes. That would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. Leave a review. Leave a rating. Definitely helps. Oh, we didn't mention our social media earlier,
Yeah,
Kyle.
yeah.
So when we make our picks on the bets, we vote and we put a poll out so everyone can interact. What's our social media, Kyle?
Yeah, we do our polls on Instagram on our story. It's at Shotcallers Show. Uh, it's the same on Instagram as it is on Twitter, so it's just at Shotcallers Show. There's no just Shotcallers Show.
Perfect. And then any other podcast platforms, Breaker, Radio.com, Stitcher,
Hmm.
Spotify. Please subscribe to us there, Pocket Casts. And if you want to send us any questions for our mailbag episode that's in the works, that's
Hmm.
going to be shotcallersshow@gmail.com. That is shotcallersshow@gmail.com. Any final things you want to say on behalf of Robin or for yourself, Kyle, before we sign off?
We miss you, Robin. Hopefully
Yeah.
you're all good. This rest better have been worth it.
Yeah, sleep well. Good
Yeah.
night. Good night, sweet prince. All right, so that was Kyle. My name is Rich. We are the Shot Callers, and we will see you guys next week.